Hello, everyone. Professor Green here. I want to talk to you today about a book that I read years ago. It was published in 1997. I read it many years after that, but it's called The Four Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. And I'd forgotten about this book and forgotten that I read it, but it made such an impact on me that a conversation that I had recently with a group of professors, which I'll talk about, brought it back up, and then I ended up buying the book again whenever I was out. So I would highly recommend this book. It's by Don Miguel Ruiz. It's called The Four Agreements, and he has other books as well. But this is such a powerful book, and it's one that's really easy to read on a rainy Sunday afternoon. It's very, very kind of to the point, well written. It's about 140 pages, so it's not a big lift. But let's talk about this, and then I'll try and tie all this into what it means to be a teacher. The four agreements are: be impeccable with your word, don't take anything personally, and don't make assumptions, and always do your best. Today, we're going to talk a little bit about be impeccable with your word and mostly about don't take anything personally. And I believe that my career as an educator changed for the better, and I became more effective whenever I stopped taking things personally. The conversation that I had recently with professors and colleagues was about a student who was struggling, somebody who was struggling, and said something rude to the professor. And I immediately went to, I would approach that with humor and kind of laugh it off at first and then try and dig deeper. And my problem was I was not impeccable with my word. Being impeccable with your word is by far the hardest agreement to master. It's constant work. Sometimes I make the mistake where with my wife, I think that she can read my mind, which is impossible, right? But I feel like instead of explaining myself fully, and being impeccable with my word. I just believe that she knows what I'm thinking magically, but that's not the case. And I did that same thing in that conversation. What I meant was I would laugh, if the student said something rude to me because I don't take it personally. And but I should have explained that, and we're going to dig into that in a second. But let's start with be impeccable with your word, and let me just read a passage from that chapter. Um, the word is not just a sound or a written symbol. The word is a force. It is the power you have to express and communicate, to think, and thereby to create events in your life. The word is the most powerful tool you have as a human. It is a tool of magic. So there's a lot more great information, but that passage kind of, I picked that to kind of summarize be impeccable with your word. But again, we're focusing on don't take anything personally today. So don't take anything personally. Another passage. Whatever happens around you, don't take it personally. If I see you on the street and I say, "Hey, you are so stupid," without knowing you, it's not about you. It's about me. You, you take it personally because you agree with whatever is said. As soon as you agree, the poison goes through you. So what that means is, if you take things personally, if I said, "Oh, you're so stupid," if you take that personally, that means you're agreeing with what was said, and then that poison or garbage is now your garbage. Um, so why is it kind of a trap? Why is taking things personally a trap? Because personal importance or taking things personally is the maximum expression of selfishness because we make the assumption that everything is about me. Nothing other people do is because of you, it's because of themselves. So remember that. Even when a situation seems so personal, even if others insult you directly, it has nothing to do with you. And taking things personally makes you easy prey. And finally, if you make something big out of something so little because you have the need to be right and make everybody else wrong, that is taking on an insult or something personally, and that's not good. You don't want to do that. So, how does all this tie to teaching, and how did that not taking things personally help me grow as a teacher and become more effective with my students? Students will always no matter what, if you haven't had this happen, great, but at some point, a student's going to say something to you that can make you angry, and perhaps that's like, because you're working so hard to plan these awesome lessons, and deliver this great content to your student, and they'll say something kind of so silly that it makes you angry, but don't take it personally. I look at it from a sense of humor. If somebody says something personally like, Mr. Green, I can't concentrate. I'm really, trying to help them, let's say, work on a difficult problem. If a student would say to me, Mr. Green, I can't concentrate because your breath smells like coffee. It's probably true, by the way, because I drink a ton too much coffee, but I wouldn't take that personally. I would probably approach that with a laugh and say, okay, but then, to kind of diffuse that tension, I'm not going to argue with the student, because the second you do, you lose. That never amounts to anything. And when you think about it, have you ever really won an argument with somebody that you care about or love? Even if you win, it takes a toll on your relationship. So that relationship with students is so important and needs to be cultivated constantly. So don't take it personally. It's not all about us. And when you do that, I would have that student who told me my breath stinks, and I would laugh a little bit and then say, okay, well, maybe I need a tic tac or something, whatever. But let's get back to the task at hand. Do you understand what I'm asking you to do? And then from there, I would dig deeper and try and refocus that student back on task. And then instead of making something small, like a little insult that student told me, something small and insignificant, I wouldn't let it become a big thing, because it's over with. I don't take it personally. It doesn't bother me. That's on that student. Maybe there's something going on deeper that's prohibiting them from working on that difficult problem. I don't know, but that's my job as a teacher, to get to the point where I can dig deeper and talk to them and try and work it out and help them move forward. So this was a little summary of, I was thinking about that conversation again that I had with professors. I just wasn't impeccable with my words. And I needed to be, but I didn't want to be perceived as somebody who's, flippant or doesn't care. I just approach a lot of situations with humor, and I definitely do not take things personally. And that is really what flipped my effectiveness as a teacher. And if I can give this, advice to you now as you're just getting started, and it helps, then that's great. But I highly recommend this book, and thank you for your time.